you lead by example, like I would have never asked my team to do something that I wasn't willing to do myself,
Right.
And so I think it's getting into that type of mindset, but bringing that, but for some odd reason, we can do this at work. Like we can.
Welcome to the Business of Parenting podcast. Tune in as we discuss the principles of successful parenting as a business professional. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
And my boys, because they're younger, they're 7 and 8, they love the game of war.
Okay.
Right, because it's like the easiest game to play, right? It's like, you don't have to be like, my kids were playing war from a very young age because it was easy,
Right.
But at least that the phones are away and you're intentionally looking at each other and you're playing games. And now my kids are into playing poker. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but like, my son the other night, it's like he's like lazy, somebody goes, "Read it, suckers. It's a straight." And I'm just like, oh man, this maybe.
Dad, when do you go to Vegas?
This might backfire on me,
yeah.
right? But no, this is kind of a good segue to our next topic, which is, set examples by doing and not just saying. And that's kind of what you were talking about, right? Like it's, how can I expect my kids, especially if you're a parent out there watching and listening, you have older children like yourself, Brian, like how can I expect them not to put this thing away if I don't personally do it myself? So, like when you hear that, set examples by doing and not just saying, what comes to your mind, man?
So just the other day I had this discussion with my wife and she's like, "Oh my God." And my younger one is very smart. It's funny because I still suck at math, and this guy is just all over it and coding and all this stuff. This was the year he was supposed to graduate high school. He's already in his second year of college because he ducked out early from high school. I took the exit exam and all that and killed it. And now he was ready to move on. And in terms of the saying not doing or vice versa, he told my wife, he didn't tell me directly. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm turning into dad. I just have my computer in front of me all the time. I go home and Jason, I'm not this traditional, got my desk and all that stuff. I'll lay down on the couch. I got the computer right here and I'm editing footage or I'm creating stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, I look to my left and there he is, same thing. He's doing some coding stuff and, you do not want to turn into your parents, but I think a lot of times more so we end up doing so. And, that's an old phrase that we all do, do as I say, not as I do. Mm-hmm. And they're always paying attention, right? They're always watching. And just to me, it trips me out. I'm 45 now. And to hear kids talk back or to cuss back and there's no ramifications, no repercussions or any discipline with that, right? And it just boggles my mind that I hear in kids out there talking like their parents, or even watching on TikTok or something like that. The things that they're saying and doing. It's a different society now, I suppose. That's why I don't know how well I would be able to navigate rearing kids this day and age. But
we can't blame the environment. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of like us being, big boys and putting our big boy pants or big girl pants on, right? And just owning the fact that no one I think necessarily disagrees with the statement that you need to set examples by doing and not just saying, right? And that is so true in business as it is in parenting, right? I mean, think about that. I mean, we've both been managers at some point in time, and look, you don't just sit there and bark orders out, right? Like you lead by example, like I would have never asked my team to do something that I wasn't willing to do myself,
Right.
And so I think it's getting into that type of mindset, but bringing that, but for some odd reason, we can do this at work. Like we can. Like if to be a manager, to be a leader, we can understand that we need to set examples, by doing and not just saying. And we understand that. We totally embrace that model. But for some reason, we get home, we disconnect, right? I don't know what.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business of Parenting podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.